The following program is a production of Naleo TV.
As mayor of the county of Hawaii, this is a very smart virus.
But this cutting-edge technology is falling way behind schedule because down at the base of Mauna Kea,
Aloha and welcome to the 2020 County of Hawaii Mayoral Debate hosted by Big Island Pulse. It gives me great pleasure to introduce our moderator for tonight's event. She is a former broadcast journalist with 20 years of experience in the private and public sectors. She also served as a spokesperson and a communications lead for the late U.S. Senator Daniel Ikaika and former Governor Neil Abercrombie. From the island of Oahu, Donalyn Dela Cruz.
Aloha, and thank you for having me serve as your moderator for this mayoral debate. It's an honor to be here. The debate is hosted by Big Island Pulse, where you can find the latest events, community happenings, and more. BigIslandPulse.com. This debate is coming to you live from the Naleo TV studio in Hilo. In the interest of transparency, we want to acknowledge that Naleo's president and CEO is a candidate for mayor. As such, Naleo's staff has not participated in the content of this debate. We would like to thank the Naleo technical team for their professionalism, and Big Island Pulse brings this program to the people of Hawaii Island. To allow for proper physical distancing during this time of COVID, we have two groups of candidates participating and vying to become your next mayor for the county of Hawaii. We hope to bring you an informative program so you can make your decision on which candidate deserves your vote. At this time, I would like to introduce our three panelists who will be asking questions. First, the Executive Director of the Hawaii Island Chamber of Commerce, Miles Yoshioka. Next, we have the owner and publisher of Big Island Pulse, Kristen Thario. Finally, we have community member Ilihia Johnson. Thank you, panelists, for being here today. And now to the candidates. Each candidate has drawn random numbers to select their position within the group. And who will go first to introduce themselves? We will then move clockwise to the next candidate until we have completed everyone in the group. Without further ado, let's get to our first candidate. And the lucky draw was Mr. Urban. Tante Urban, you have a minute to do an introduction.
Thank you. Aloha. I want to thank Big Island Pulse for putting this together. And Naleo. Good luck to all the candidates. My name is Tante Urban. I was born and raised in the Philippines. I am a naturalized American citizen. Kona, the Big Island, has been my home for the last 50 years. I attended Hawaii Community College, graduated in hotel and restaurant management. I run and own my restaurant for over 30 years. And I provide jobs for our people. I invest in real estate, and I also provide affordable housing to our people. I'm running for mayor because I want to bring new leadership. I want to bring business mindset, and I want to bring outside-the-box thinking. My three goals are...
Thank you, Mr. Urban. We have to stick to the minute introduction time. Mr. Roth, you're next.
Aloha, my name is Mitch Roth, and I'm currently the elected county prosecuting attorney. I have three children, all of whom have grown up here, went away to school. I'm running for mayor because I love this island, and I love the people, and I want a better future for tomorrow's generations and the generations to come. You know, there's three things that make me different from the other candidates. One, I'm currently in government. I run a department. And that's important because I know how government works. And I know some of the pitfalls that people can get into if they're not careful, which could cause the county to get sued. The second thing is I'm an attorney, and I know how to read and interpret the law. And one of the things I'm seeing is that the way we're interpreting the law is preventing our businesses and our community from thriving. Finally, I'm an innovative problem solver that has brought real-world solutions, positive solutions to this island. Moving forward in the era of COVID, we're We're going to need to do things differently if we're going to get by. And that's why it's really important to have a problem solver. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Higa, you're next.
Thank you. Aloha, everybody, and I want to thank Big Island Pulse for this opportunity as well. My name is Stacy Higa. I'm currently the president and CEO of Naleo TV. I'm running for mayor because I just want to bring allow the people of our island to have a choice in who we're going to lead this county in the future. You know, I'm a small business guy, ran a lot of mid to small size companies. I also was an executive director for a state commission, which was responsible for about $2.3 to $4 million a year in federal money, AmeriCorps, coming into the state. And lastly, the last 5 years, privileged to be the president and CEO of Naleo TV, where I took a PEG company and turned it around to become one of the most innovative media centers in the nation. I feel it's time for a business person to have a chance to become mayor and lead our counties in the very, very tough time that we're going to be facing post-COVID-19. So I just ask you folks to, again, give everybody the due diligence, and at the end of the day, I hope you're going to come find somebody that has a passion and a heart for what needs to be done for our island.
Thank you. Mr. Azevedo.
Aloha, I'm Neo Azevedo. I'm a husband, a father of 5, and a proud grandfather. My parents are Buddy and Edna Azevedo. I'm the youngest out of 11 siblings, and we had our own construction business. We had our own construction business. This is where I learned hard work, dedication, work ethic, strong. Then I was a construction field 30 years. I worked 30 years in construction, private sector. I was a laborer to a journeyman operator to a superintendent. Then now I became a highways division chief. Proud of that. Proud of all workers. They all work hard. County. Treat people right. They respect you, and they'll do their job. I coach sports for 30 plus years. I'm the head football coach at Waikiki High School. That's my proudest accomplishment. Being part of the kids, being part of the future. That's what we're about. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Kim.
Thank you very much for having me here and sponsoring this. Appreciate it. Name is Harry Kim. I'm applying for the office of the mayor again. I've dedicated my life. I have a passion to make Hawaii Island a good place and a better place to live. I went to school here in a law school that nobody knows about, Hilo High School, military. I was a medic in the Army. Went to Southern Oregon State University, got my bachelor's and master's in economics from that school. Came back, was a school teacher, LEA director, civil defense for 24 years after that, and mayor after that. Why am I doing this? Again, I'm doing it because I feel I should do this. I'm doing this because I feel I want to do this. And I'm doing this because I know I can do it in every which way. I ask for your support. I ask you to judge me for one thing only. Judge me by my work. And I think you'll be happy with it. Thank you.
Mr. Marzo.
Aloha, everyone. Mahalo. Everyone in this room, mahalo to Kristen, Big Island Pulse, Naleo, Stacy, mahalo for having this. My name is Ikaika Marzo, born and raised in Hawaii. Native Hawaiian, born and raised in the district of Kalapana. Business operator turned into community organizer. If everybody remember the 2018 eruption, we was a key component in our 2018 eruption, filling in the gaps that our county didn't fill in. So again, coming from a background of coaching, I was a coach at Pohoa High School for 7 years, and we took Pohoa High School to the first state tournament, and we went to states for 4 years. So that was a huge accomplishment, and I was only 21 years old. And now I'm sitting in front of you, taking in a big job. I want to bring back aloha and pride and passion to our community. Mahalo.
Thank you. Mr. Fitzgerald.
Aloha, everybody, and again, mahalo for everybody for having us. Outstanding to see my other candidates here. Myself, I got a full spectrum. I had a small business for 20 years, a farmer for 25, worked with DOE, became a football coach at Konawaina. I always thank Jim Barry for getting me involved. Won a lot of championships. I also got involved with Wyndham Resorts and Hilton Resorts, so I had pretty good spectrum as far as what big business is all about, what local business is all about, and then thankful was the parks director that ran a department right at this same type of times where we had to cut budgets. I have passion and a desire. I mean, my coaching, I always think government as a big defensive thing that moves slow. I'm going to bring some offensive to it and special teams. That's my A team to get things done. And I thank all of you for wanting to step up to the plate to help this beautiful island too. So aloha.
Mahalo, all candidates. Well, it sounds like we've got a lot of sports going on in here, so it's game time. Part one of the debate will consist of 8 questions from the panel, which were provided to each candidate in advance. Each candidate will have the opportunity to answer a question first and have a 1-minute response time. So in this round, candidate Mitch Roth will begin. And we start with Miles Yoshioka asking the first question.
Thank you very much, and welcome, candidates. What in your background and experience gives you the capability to run Hawaiʻi County, which has a $600 million budget and more than 2,000 employees?
Thank you. Right now, I am the prosecuting attorney. I run an office of over 120 employees, over 3 different offices in Waimea, in Kona, and in Hilo. With a budget of $11 million, over a quarter of that budget comes from state grants and other funding. You know, I've also had a business brokerage. I was a small business owner, and so I've helped people start their businesses, make business plans. So I know how the business world works, and I know how government works. As a department head, knowing how government works, there's a lot of pitfalls that you can get into. And those things could cost the taxpayer money. Knowing how to deal with procurement contracts, how to work with civil service. If you don't know how to do those kinds of things, it could mean trouble for the county, which could mean a lot of money for you, the taxpayer. So I have those experiences, and I believe that makes me one of the best candidates here.
Thank you, Mr. Roth. And Mr. Higa, your response.
Thank you. You know, the biggest asset that I bring to the table is my years as the county council chair. Back in 2004, 2005, I was very fortunate to be the chair, and I actually had to make a budget that actually was complementary or kind of competing against Mayor Kim's budget at that time. So I understand how the budget process works. I understand where all the money may or may not be put in a budget. But more importantly, I'm a businessman. I took a company like Naleo and took it from 6 employees to 17 employees, from $1 million annually to $2 million. From a book value of having $7 million of book value, now over $12.5 million book value. The best thing, liquidity. When I first came to Naleo 5 years ago, we had less than $3 million in the bank liquid. Now we have over $5 million liquid. So I put Naleo in a great, great place. And if given the opportunity, I'll use my business acumen to put the county in a very good place.
Mr. Azevedo, your response.
As Highways Division Chief in the last 5 years, I took on the task of doing the highways budget of 16,148 employees. We got to put in for the roads paving, materials, and equipment. I had to put all that into the budget. But the hardest thing with us was private sector. When I was at private sector, when you bid for a job, you get so much money you got to use doing the private sector. And right there, we got to work hard. We got to get a good leader, push the men, work with the men together side by side to get the job done, to make sure at the end of the day, our contractor can bid on the next job. We got to be in the plus. So that's my whole thing with that. By working hard, great leadership, and that's what we'll bring to the county. You know, we stay within budget, work hard, and spend wisely. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Kim.
Thank you very much. You know, that question really come down to is a cumulative assembly of all the things of your life, of knowledge and experience that makes me want to continue to do this job. I made one pledge at the beginning that I'll try to do a job that makes you trust your government. I was asked to take over civil defense in 1976 after the huge earthquake tsunami. And in finding out what was wrong with our response, it was a lack of trust to the government of being there. I made a personal pledge at the time that is a passion of mine now, to develop a government that you can trust. That is why I ask you to judge me by my work. I feel my experiences of civil defense probably was the best experience in regards to working with government, because there was a position that you had to work with all government, of federal, state, and county. It is accumulation of all the knowledge of life that makes me feel I can truthfully say I will work very hard for you to trust me and the government.
Thank you. Mr. Marzo.
Can you ask the question?
Sure.
Of course. What in your background and experience gives you the capability to run Hawaii County, which has a $600 million budget and more than 2,000 employees?
Good question. You know, I think all of us right here with a budget of 600 million, going through a pandemic, none of us have that experience. I mean, if you look at the whole picture here, this pandemic never did happen in our history of Hawaii, in our county history. But let's look at my experiences. You know, I came from a business background, developed a business, partnered with one of my brothers down in Kalapana, created something that was nothing, created an opportunity for our community in Kalapana to have something for our people in Kalapana. Then coming into the lava flow, managing hundreds of volunteers during that time. That was huge. You know, our community needed help. We needed someone to take action. And that's what we did. Our community took action, and we took back our community, and we helped our people. And that speaks volumes during that time.
Thank you. Mr. Fitzgerald.
Yeah, biggest experience is really going back to 20 years of being president of West Hawaii Youth Council, where we actually did take county funds and build parks in West Hawaii way beyond the capability of what the county was at the time. Very frustrated of where county government has been with the west side of the island. One of the reasons I'm running is I just see it back to a standstill. And it's not fair for the people on that side. They don't mind paying bigger taxes, but give them something for their money. The other part I always think, being frustrated in that early 90s from government, that Billy Kanoe came by and gave me an opportunity to be the parks director, where as soon as we walked in, we had to cut back furlough days. It was $37 million budget. We brought it down to 25. We'll not cut the band, by the way, but we had a lot of different issues that we had to deal with, exactly what we're doing with this virus. $100 million I sold at Hilton Resorts. I know how to get big business and small business together, get the job done.
Thank you. Mr. Urban, your response.
Thank you. Those 600 million and 2,000 employees are huge. But managing those numbers properly is the key. You have to manage those numbers properly. My restaurant budget is much smaller than that. But I had to manage properly. If I don't manage properly, then I go broke. So managing my restaurant for over 30 years gave me the knowledge in budgeting. I make sure that I stay on budget. Staffing, making sure I hire the right people, not overstaff, and minimize overtime. Quality control, making sure we provide good products. Customer service, making sure we provide the best experience to our customers. Leadership skill, making sure I lead by examples and make tough decisions on a daily basis, like balancing the budget. Thank you.
Thank you. And now we are going to go to our next question. Kristen, you're going to start with Stacy Higa. You're going to respond to her question. Go ahead.
This question is climate and environment. We know that climate change is an existential threat to humankind, and also know that there is a very concrete risk building in areas that are susceptible to rising sea levels, flooding, erosion, other climate changes. These create vulnerabilities. The county has some control over this with the infrastructure planning, as well as the permitting of the land use. What changes will you make as mayor to reduce the risk of climate-related damages to buildings and property and to the health and safety of people?
Thank you. Great question. You know, we all know that climate change is not a myth. It actually is happening. So county government needs to be very, very responsive. And the type of leadership that I want to bring to county government is basically going back into the communities. For example, like Ka'u. You know, talking to people down there. They understand what they need. They understand about the water rising up there. They understand about land use. So if I'm elected mayor, my whole thing will be try to create a local land use. In other words, I'm tired of people in Honolulu, the land use commission, sitting in Honolulu trying to tell us how we're going to live on our land here on our island. So I believe that our county, through our planning department and through our planning commissions, we need to do a better job in making sure that our voices are heard, that we are actually going to have determining our own destiny as we move forward. And then again, it's going to take a business person to be able to work with everybody to get some of these things done, especially working real close with the various communities out there. Every community on our island is different. I want to be the mayor to be able to talk to all communities.
Thank you. Mr. Azevedo.
Climate change. The action I would take involve partnering up with qualified specialists. From there, we identify the bad areas and we work together to get it done, make sure the people are safe. From there, we adjust everything, the planning, adjust planning, work on that. Then from there, simple things like don't build in one area where you're not supposed to. County get already the permits where you can build and where not to build, the codes. We need to make sure we abide by that. Work together with every community. Every community is unique. Every community is different out there. We need to check on everything and making sure we do the right thing. I get the experience of construction in 30 plus years. I work on roads, work on landscaping, all that. So I know what is contours. Contours, we cannot mess contours up. We need to make sure the water flow to the right place and making sure everyone's safe out there. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Kim, your response.
All of a sudden, this question made me remember about 14 or so years ago, I was invited to go to Alaska in regards for climate change. 14 years ago, the people of Alaska, the northern area of Alaska, was begging federal government and other governments to know that climate change is here. I'm not exactly sure, but I know it was at least 14 years ago. I learned a lot then in regards to what our responsibilities are. It's amazing how civil defense experiences overlaps everything else, and that is for Hawaiʻi County. We've been working with the state on this, or what we can do. Number one is to make sure that your county government keeps abreast of it. Number two is to make sure that the public is aware of any changes that has to be done. Our responsibility here is to make sure we monitor it, know all the hazards and risks that's going to occur, which we don't know at this time. It's way beyond the rising seas. We will do this and keep the public informed and do what has to be done.
Thank you. Mr. Marzo.
Can we get the question again,
Yes.
please?
We know that climate change is an existential threat to humankind, and we also know that there's a very concrete risk building in areas susceptible to rising sea, flooding, erosion, and other climate change-related vulnerabilities. The county has some control over this with its infrastructure planning, as well as permitting land use. What changes will you make as mayor to reduce the risk of climate-related damages to buildings and property and to the health and safety of people?
So what are we gonna make? What are we gonna do for changing? So the question for me is people over property, and how it was stated. So it's problematic for me. The way we think about it, buildings before Aina is problematic. The way we think about property and people as equals is some problematic to me. Just how the question, but climate change is happening. With climate change, we're going to see more disasters. So we need to look at the multi-hazard mitigation plan of 2020 and look into it and how we can better it in the future. Obviously, this disaster is going to be coming more often. We need to prepare our people for these disasters that are coming, because with climate change, water rising, more disasters. So that's my.
Thank you.
Yeah. Right. Biggest thing is work within our laws that we have. I mean, we have the SMA out there and the enforcement of it. I think that's the main thing, and don't allow variances. Also work with NOAA. Also work with big nonprofits. Kohala Center, great example of a local big nonprofit working with ocean technology, which I've had a history of. I'm bringing them in Kahalu to be able to look at our water and be able to bring in creative ideas from the outside. It's obviously a huge issue. Last time you've been to Waikiki, you know, you look at a picture of Waikiki, you have to go in through the hotel to get through. It's some of our problem, but we have existing laws right now. We just need to enforce. We can't have the big land developers say we want to go to these variances and build. That's not going to happen. And correct, we're going to have more disasters to come that we have to prepare for, besides pandemic type stuff. So I would say the biggest thing is partner with people that know, and that's NOAA, and that's big nonprofits that are specialized in that area with us.
Thank you. Mr. Urban.
We will appoint a task force to work with nonprofits and support their goals in addressing climate change and determine the high-risk area in our community. I support changing our fleet to either hybrid or electric vehicle, supporting renewable and sustainable products. We need to implement advanced technologies in our infrastructures to improve public health and ecological damages. I support legislation ban on single-use plastic. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Roth, your response.
Okay. Aloha. You know, we may not be able to change climate change by ourselves, but we can be the model for the world. Hawaii Island has some of the best opportunities to get off of fossil fuel for our electricity and for our cars by 2045. We have solar, wind, geothermal, and other opportunities that we can actually use to get off of fossil fuels. But we're going to need to work together with our state, with the PUC, with our legislators to make some changes in laws. We're going to need to work together at our county level to make sure that the laws that we have are ones that we can use to move these technologies forward, to set the stage, thus becoming the model for the world on how you get rid of using fossil fuels and protecting our planet. Thank you.
Thank you. I believe we are now in the next panelist. Ilihia, are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, you look ready.
I try. Aloha, everybody. Despite state and federal assistance and private assistance and the hard work of many, many people, including some of you in this room, homelessness continues to be a challenge here on Hawaii Island. In addition to people experiencing homelessness, many thousands more households on our island are right on the edge, barely making ends meet. What will you do as mayor to address homelessness and the scarcity of affordable housing?
Mr. Azevedo, your answer.
Yeah. Housing. Let's start off with housing. You know, provide affordable homes. It takes a lot of funds. We will team up with private sectors and nonprofit to provide low-income self-help homes. You know, from there, another option is to develop affordable rentals. You know, programs that can educate our renters and serve as a stepping stone for they move into the homes. For homelessness, that's hard. For homelessness, I would like to team up with nonprofit and faith-based groups. You know, groups that provide shelter, health services, and education. Together, we can build a community where they can give back and learn a trade like farming, carpentry, all that. You know, let them know that they're important. Help them get back on their feet. Everybody deserves a second chance. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Kim.
At the beginning, I asked you to judge me by my work. It's impossible within 60 seconds to cover this. So before I forget, I think most of us feel that way. I ask of you to call my office, email. If you want further information specific to, I'll gladly provide it to you. But in the meantime, take a look very fast at what we did in Kona and the homeless program there. I think you'll be very happy. Take a look at what was done in Hilo. Totally, all of it funded by Ohana zoning. Without that, we'd be dead in the woods because the county just don't have that kind of spare money. But I'm asking all your viewers, call, investigate, do anything you want to take a look at the homeless and the housing programs that has been done in the past 3 years. I'll close with this one. I'm very proud of the Uluwini program in Kona. You know, proud of the homeless programs in Hilo at the Memorial Hospital. But the Uluwini is a new contract to provide family housing.
Thank you, Mr. Kim. Mr. Marzo, your response.
So, you know, we're going to go straight into housing. There's 3 key points that I want to hit on this Section 8, Department of Hawaiian Homelands, which is a state jurisdiction and permitting. So Section 8, the problem is with Section 8, there is funding. But the main problem is the landowners or the landlords won't rent out their homes to low-income families. We gotta fix that. Second, Department of Hawaiian Homelands, we need to collaborate with the state, because it's it's economy mindset as supply and demand. We need to take out our Hawaiians in these rentals and put them into their land. So it opens up these rentals, and then we can, the supply and demand concept. More homes open up, the price will go down. And homeless, malamar homeless ohana.
Thank you. Mr. Fitzgerald.
Yeah, one, I'm going to start off with compliment the mayor. I agree. There's been good minds sitting together for 10 years when I was in government with the Kanoi administration and with the Kim administration on trying to get it done through homeless and affordable housing. There's some project out there. I think all of us are saying the wrong thing. You're going to jump in and do it immediately, because what's the county's heading on right now, I see working, at least on the west side, and what I see on the east side. I think the other part of the equation, what Mr. Marzo just brought up about Hawaiian homes, expedite, they have the land. The other part, why don't we get Bishop Estate involved? Why don't we get Lilio Kalani involved? Why don't we get the big landowners who have the land and help them expedite their affordable housing projects? That's my main position, is to get that. How did South Kona get developed? Bishop Estate came in and gave lease land and farmland. We need to get that same, all the big players to the table in a meeting and be able to keep them moving. But I compliment the mayor for what's going on right now in the homeless and housing.
Mr. Urban.
Yeah, regarding homeless, we need to expedite construction of Village 9 and look for more transitional housing as needed. I will coordinate an approach to provide a treatment center, transitional and permanent housing. My goal is to build a Kukua homeless village. This will be a place of learning and sports village. This will be a place to hang out and camp out to get the homeless off the streets. Regarding housing, we need to offer tax credit and incentives to developers. We need to open up more land, state and county land. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Roth, your response.
So homelessness and housing are two separate issues. For homelessness, we continue on with Housing First, which is a good plan to get those people off the street, the chronically homeless off the street and into housing. We next need to make sure that we have one-stop shops where we have drug and alcohol treatment, mental health, and use our job training programs. But we need to get to the roots of homelessness, adverse childhood experiences such as domestic violence, and really put more attention there. For our affordable housing, we have a couple of things. One, for families who are building housing, we need to make sure that we're streamlining our building code and planning processes and getting rid of a lot of the red tape. Make sure that we're consistently interpreting the statutes the way we should be. Finally, for the bigger projects, we need to make sure that our county departments are working together as a team to streamline the process of ushering these big projects through, rather than working in silos. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Higa.
So again, like Mayor said, trying to do it in 1 minute is really tough. For me, it's all about tough love, because we cannot help the homeless because a lot of them don't want the help. That's a lifestyle that they choose. If I'm elected mayor, I want to help the people who are unfortunately homeless because of an economic downturn. But to be able to do that, we have to have laws so that we can actually properly separate them, so that we take away the choice. It has to be so that when you have mental health issues, we have mental health guys who take care of that. When it's substance abuse issues, people can help that. And the people who are economically hurt, then the nonprofits, faith-based groups can actually help with that. With affordable housing, I hate to use the word affordable. Affordable is a misnomer. It's all about workforce housing. We need workforce housing closer to where our workforce actually works. And if we do that, we'll create opportunities. Again, supply and demand, as Ikaika said, we're going to end up relieving some of that extra housing areas. We need to build workforce housing closer to the workforce.
Thank you. And now we go to our next question. We're going to go back.
Excuse me, I'm so sorry.
Oh.
Could I ask 2 follow-up questions, like 30-second kind?
Sure.
Would that be okay?
To all the candidates.
Or actually, follow-ups to specific candidates. If not, we can do them later.
We can do that right now since if it's this topic.
Yeah, this
then let's
topic.
keep it on topic.
Okay,
Go ahead.
mahalo nui, appreciate that. Mr. Marzo, following up to, you mentioned the Department of Hawaiian Homelands and encouraging them to to put folks on the wait list on the land, and Mr. Fitzgerald, you mentioned this as well. As mayor, how would you work with that State Department to make that happen more expeditiously?
You know, we're going to have to work collaboratively, go through the process of how we can get our people back on the land. Look at the Act of 1920 under Jonah Kuhio. And, you know, there's 44,000 people on that list. If we can get 44,000 people out of homes into their own property, 44,000 homes going to be open for our community. And supply and demand. A lot of homes, prices go down. Then it comes affordable.
Thank you. So we're going to allow candidates to respond within 30 seconds. I
Perfect.
believe that's
If
me.
can.
So that's why I have to cut you off.
Oh, no problem.
So a follow-up to any other of the candidates? Or all
I
the
had one
candidates?
more if can. Call on my Miss Moderator. But Mayor Kim, I had a question. Mr. Urban mentioned Village 9, now known as Kukuiola. And as a resident of Kona now, I saw during COVID that the county worked with a bunch of community partners to build shelters down at the old airport. My question to you is, given that there are already plans to construct Kukuiola and some housing on that site, why build at old airport versus erecting those structures at the Kukuiola site?
Thank you very much. Those structures will be used in regards to the Village 9 area. That was done as a temporary. It's taken us this long to get the state land in regards to the EIS and all these permit structures. We expect to begin that within 3 to 4 months. And once that is finished and those people will be transferred there, so will some of the structures.
Mahalo, Mayor, and mahalo, Madam Moderator, for your indulgence.
Thank you. And I just wanted to reiterate, so no cell phones use at this time, just so everyone is fair. We don't want anyone trying to read other answers. You have your notes, so we are allowing that to occur for everyone to have paper and pencil. I think we can go on to our next panelist question, Miles Yoshioka, and this will go to Mayor Kim. You're going to be the first to answer this question.
Mayor Kim, our island's economy has been devastated by this pandemic. What specifically would you do as mayor, or in your case, currently doing, to help revive our economy?
Well, there's something that I've been through a lot of disasters, but nothing like this, because it's almost an unknown enemy. In regards to, from the beginning, the county of Hawaii tried to persuade and did persuade the governor of Hawaii that we should, as a small state, make this a unified program so that we wouldn't have any conflicts. As you can see, is happening in the state. In regards to the main industry of tourism, I think you know, remember what the governor just stated of gradually opening it up, and I won't waste my time on that. But if you need information, you know, please call the office. In regards to the rest of the economy for the island of Hawaii, I think one thing we found out, we have to diversify our economic base. Tourism up and down will always happen in the economy of the United States. And this is what we learned, and I think this is what we'll have to capitalize on.
Thank you, Mr. Marzo.
So, you know, economy, if we look at small businesses around, you know, they are so resilient during this time. You know, we got to make sure and ensure that our small businesses will continue to be striving and surviving during this time. So let's look at short-term and long-term. So short-term right now, construction has been the #1 forefront for our economy. It has not faltered. Construction continues to be what is pushing our economy forward. We need to expedite permits for responsible construction. Tourism. Okay, tourism. We have 22,000 people without jobs. We gotta bring back tourism, safe tourism, COVID-free tourism. But long term, we're looking at ag, tech jobs, health, healthcare systems. But in order for our long term, we gotta get these people back working and bringing back inflow of money back into our county.
Thank you. Mr. Fitzgerald?
I'll go, as we know, it's all difficult question right now, but short term is market. We have 1.2 million people in Oahu. Yes, some are unemployed, some are still doing very well. I don't think people realize in this room there's 10,000 people that own on this island timeshare that live throughout the state. We market ourselves. They don't need to sit. They mini-vacs. All those big companies want the mini-vacs. They want to come use their ownership. And those are safe people that care about this place, people that grew up here, live in Oahu, that want to come. It's a market there that's ready to be tapped by whoever gets this job. I've been in the business for 20 years now. I see that that's people that care about our island, that want to come, that picks up with our tourism that own here. The long-term effect, obviously, is we need to diverse ourselves, and we'll have another questions to go that I'll answer more specifically. But yeah, long-term goal is what we need. We need to get 20% of our workforce into other types of work, and we'll elaborate that on later.
Thank you, Mr. Irvine.
Yeah, thank you. Regarding the economy, we will cut real property tax. This will stimulate the economy and give more spending money for our people. We will advocate with commercial landlords to reduce the rent to help the tenants and fill vacant spaces. We need to bring tourism back by putting it in the forefront in marketing and promotion. We must also consider sports tourism to bring added revenue. We need to streamline permitting to bring a booming construction industry. We need to open up more land for development, for affordable housing. We need to create entrepreneur innovation program for small businesses. I plan to create Made in a Big Island Festival to feature and showcase
Thank you,
products.
Mr. Irvine. Your time is up. Mr. Roth?
For unemployment, we need to make sure that our unemployed people, our residents, are getting back to work. Many of these people are in our tourism and service sector. As mayor, I intend on making sure we have rules that allow them to get back to work safely. We have shovel-ready jobs. We'll make sure that those jobs are moving forward. We need to work with our business community, making sure that we're cutting through red tape, streamlining our building process and our permitting process that can be consistently interpreted. We need to look at using the resources that we have, our research and development departments, to write grants to help find funding, work together with our chambers and our University of Hawaiʻi system. And that way we can start diversifying our economy through agriculture, through technology, through renewable energies, and entrepreneurial accelerators. These are the things I plan on doing as mayor.
Thank you. Mr. Higa?
Thank you. I hear everybody kind of telling us what the problems are. I'm going to tell you how I intend to solve the problems. Day one, it's economy, economy, economy. Day one, I'll expedite all building permits on an emergency order because we need to make sure that all our private contractors are out there keeping their employees employed. At the same time, I'd call every single big contractor into my office and say, look, we have jobs, we have infrastructure jobs, we have buildings that we need to have refurbished, we need roads to be repaved, we need sewer lines to be redone. We have so much infrastructure out there that we can actually kickstart our economy by having people employed and working. At the same time, offer opportunities for the unemployed in the tourist industry, in the hotels. We can kind of have some of those people come over into the construction industry to keep working. Bottom line is you need a business person to help you and help this economy keep on going. Without any economy, we're all in big trouble. You need a business guy that understands how to make that happen.
Thank you. Mr. Azevedo, your response.
I call it CAT, C-A-T. Why? Construction, agriculture, tourism. There's the three major parts. First, construction, streamlined building permits process, serves as both short-term and long-term, since it will kickstart the recovery plan, and which will generate more revenue to our county. This will provide immediate jobs for construction that will get people back to work and stimulate the local economy. Next is agriculture. We can also use agriculture to boost the economy. By how? By partnering up with University of Agriculture Department, partnering up with them, private sectors, teach our residents how to farm, the basics of farming. From there, we can build our economy. Once we get sustainability, we can export it out. Export a lot of fruits and vegetables out there. Next is tourism. Another way we can improve tourism is teaming up communicate with tourism industry, get them together, bring the local residents from other islands to come to our island to showcase what we got here.
Thank you. And now we're going to move on to our next panelist question. Kristen, you have the question, and the first answer will come from Ikaika Marzo.
This is a technology and broadband access question. From education to business to healthcare during COVID-19, restrictions showed us how much we can get done at home and online instead of in person. It showed us how much of a gap there is between those that have access to technology and broadband and those that do not. What is your plan to address that disparity?
So during this COVID-19, we've been talking with a lot of teachers, counselors, principals within our community. And education. It was so hard for our educating leaders to communicate with their students because of the broadband and the service. So, we need to collaborate with these providers. So as far as, being mayor, open up the conversation, have outreach programs, go out there, go out to Ka'u, talk to the Ka'u people. Do you guys have the top of the line internet service? Okay, this is what we need. Let's do an outreach program out here. Social media is so huge right now. It's the #1 informational hub for everyone on island. So, during disasters, information, that's where everyone go. So we want to make sure everyone can get the, equal amount of broadband around our island.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things is to get the big players at the table and share towers. They should be a share system, not each company putting up their own towers. Actually, and when we go to the broadbands, as far as multiple of them, we have to worry about the health and safety of our people. Our kids. Are we defeating our purpose? But they get a broadband, but there's a lot of good information out there. We need to make decisions on the health and safety of how much we add on to. Fiber optics. I don't know if people realize there's a fiber optics that comes in at Spencer's Beach that from Tahiti that unifies all of Tahiti to Europe and the mainland. And fiber optic, it's underground, it's on ground, but it's safer for our kids. And maybe our rural areas, that's the better way to go besides working with our big towers. But, that's an issue. We're not going to make a health concern after that's going to hurt our keikis of the future for putting up communication that we have right now. So that would be my biggest #1.
Thank you. Mr. Urban.
Yeah, thank you. I support enhancing our telecommunication technology to a newer version and broadband, so our people can access faster internet service in their homes and in remote areas. I will start conversation with telecommunication companies to address this issue and find solutions. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Roth?
This is really about internet access. We need to build or rebuild our technological infrastructure to make sure that we have that ability. We can do that with funds that are available from the state and federal government that we need to take advantage of. But we also have businesses that really want to do the work here. We need to, as government, help those businesses succeed rather than being obstacles in their way. We need to remove the red tape that prevents them from coming in. We also have an opportunity. There's a fiber optics cable that's coming in, or it's actually going from the mainland to Asia. We need to work with our government and with our legislature to make sure that that becomes a real reality. That takes working with people. If we can do these things, we can make sure that we have internet so people can work from home, do telemedicine, and students can study from home.
Thank you. Mr. Higa.
Thank you. Everybody talks about the various types of technologies that are out there. I'm not a big techie guy, but I love technology, and I use it at Naleo. I'll say this. County government needs to work better to make sure we protect the public rights of way. What does that mean? You know, because we're on such a rural island, we have tremendous disadvantages. We don't have enough population. That's why we don't have cable. That's why we don't have certain phone services throughout our island. Things are going to change. I know what Bob says about fiber, but we all know SpaceX was just launched. You know, we just had Elon Musk, I think his name is. He put that satellites. Technology in the next few years is going to be changing. So you need a county government. You need a mayor that understands how technology works so that you can negotiate with all these various companies out there. You know, there's a reason why people out there are putting different towers all over the place, because it's called competition. So you, as a businessman and a mayor, you need to understand how to negotiate those public rights of way to make sure that the public doesn't get shortchanged.
Thank you, and Mr. Azevedo.
Technology quickly changes. We must look at ways to expand broadband by connecting the broadband throughout the whole island. You know, the communication lines, including phones, network, and internet services, get it up and running for those who don't have it. You know, access places like such rural areas. You know, we should partner up with private sectors and nonprofit to see how we can connect everybody, communicate everyone together. You know, the whole thing, county get Wi-Fi, free Wi-Fi. We got a lot of facilities out there. Let's give free Wi-Fi to the whole public. You know, we already do that in certain areas. Let's open it up for more. Why? Because we care about people. We care about communicating. We care that everybody know what's going on. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Kim.
I'm not trying to rub anything in, but this needs to be said. Again, I welcome all of you to please follow up on these questions, because it's impossible to cover it. But at this time, the county government is working with DACA and the state government in regarding to broadening the availability of Wi-Fi. This is private business, and we know private businesses have money, and they need to make money to go to rural areas, and the market is just not there for the time being. I think in a very long run, maybe the answer is that this technology should be part of a PUC system to govern it, to make it available for everyone. But in the meantime, the county government is working with the state government and the federal government of DACA, and will make available, I think, approximately 14 new sites on this island in our county parks and recreation facilities for free access to Wi-Fi. And some of it is available. We'll make the rest available very shortly. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And now, Ilihia, you're going to ask a question to all of the candidates, and the first to answer will be Mr. Fitzgerald.
Mahalo. This question is about transportation and transit. The challenges of getting people around and across a 4,028 square mile island are great challenges. The county builds and maintains roads and runs the Heleon bus system, but we know that there's a lot of work left to do. What is your vision for transportation on our island, and how do you plan to deliver it?
All bets are off on this. I'm very creative. I finally get to go to my college major, which was environmental planning and transportation. I see kind of, when I was in county vehicles, you see every county vehicle driving down the road with one person on it. And let's separate the bus. Still, I'm for buses going to from the big routes. We got to be able to get federal funding. But I did a report on like what Uber is today. I'm talking about every county employee going somewhere can pick up somebody at the bus. We all have the apps for it. You're not legalizing hitchhiking. You're picking up a person that you know. And it should be a crime to have all our vehicles spending all this money, and we got to wait for 2 buses a day to come by when we have county vehicles going by. And I'm very, very creative on that. That's one of the things I think I bring to the table that is beyond the box. And also our vehicles, our vans, to move people to and from parks or programs throughout the year and all day.
Mr. Urban.
Thank you. I support public-private partnership. If elected, I will review the current mass transit plan and address issues immediately. I will implement a measurable performance assessment on quality of service. I would like to improve and bring more services to remote areas. On a short run, I'd like to reduce the size of the vehicle from bus to van. As needed, I will seek federal grants to purchase more vehicles to better service our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Roth, your response.
For mass transit, it's really about building the system and a demand for ridership. In 2018, we had a multimodal plan that the county paid for. We need to fully implement that plan. For that plan to be implemented, we need to make sure that we're getting rid of our dilapidated old buses and replacing them with new energy efficient buses. Now that costs money. There's money out there for grants, but like Tante said, we can also look at public-private partnerships. That's what's done on Maui. That's what's done in Honolulu. Once we have the plan in place, we'll have a reliable bus that people can depend on. That will drive up demand for ridership. In addition to that, we need to make sure that we're communicating when the buses are coming. So you can do that through internet options or apps through your cell phone. If people know when the buses are going to come, they're more likely to ride them. And that way we can raise that up. Another thing is we need to build housing and streamline the process so people can live closer to where they work.
Thank you. Mr. Higa, your response.
You know, I'm a realist. Our county bus system is really bad, and I'm going to call it like I see it. You know, like I said earlier, we have the biggest landmass in the entire state, and we're trying to have a bus system that has 200,000 people being served. When Honolulu has a boondoggle with $1.3 million, people with a $5 billion project. So it's about making partnerships with the hotels. I think workforce transportation is very, very important. Van share, ride shares. I think what we need to do is use the Uber and the Lyft models to be able to, and we have ride share coupons right now with our taxis. I think those are the type of innovative things I would rather see our county spend our money on instead of having these buses run around the island with 2 people in them all day costing us millions and millions of dollars. I think there's a better business model out there that'll serve our community well in the form of mass transportation. I don't think the Helion system is it. If I was mayor, I'd be overhauling that system completely.
Thank you. Mr. Azevedo.
The current mass transit system it's running by a private sector, and it's working. What we need to do is revisit options with the current private mass transit provider and develop a localized bus route for all residents, such as we got to build hubs or bus terminals in the bigger communities. And the smaller ones, we use smaller vans, pick up the guys in the small resident areas, pick them up, take them to the bus terminal. So they can do the shopping. They can do everything they need. Jump on the big bus. Big buses don't go small roads. Big buses stay on the highways or major roads. Why? It's more efficient. More efficient. Then more people would ride bus. When I was young in the late 70s, we used to ride the bus. And it used to be more people on the bus. It used to be enjoyable. Let's make that again enjoyable for all people to ride and enjoy that. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Kim.
All the things that was saying about what's wrong with the transit system is an absolute and more. I think Mr. Azevedo has first-hand knowledge of what the Bayshore was like 3 years ago. It's impossible to cover what has been done, but I think if you you need to take the time to take a look at what has happened. New bus plan was submitted to the county council just about 2.5 years ago, 2 years ago, with a promise of, give us time. All the buses you talk about, the old buses, big buses, are hand-me-downs from city and county because no money was available to buy new buses. Everything on fixing it was money. Today, I'm very proud to say a plan was submitted. A promise was made to them, give us a couple of years to get it done and you'll be proud of it, including the routes, including communication with the public, everything. I really believe you will be proud of it. The new buses, we just had publicity on it, about 8 came in, and much more will come in. Thank you.
Thank you. Ikaika Marzo.
During this pandemic, we have, our economy has taken a hit. And, bus transit, a lot of people are not going to be using their own cars already. They're going to be looking at how we can get to different places in our community without using our own expense. So we need to boost our transit system. More routes, hubs, like Brother Neil said, we need more hubs where it's available for our community. More bus stops, so we don't have to walk a couple miles to one of the bus stops. More routes, and being available for our community. So again, connect our island. That's the number one thing. It costs me about $60 to $70 to go to Kona. If we can get a mass transit to have a free transit to go over, or even $1 or $2 a ride to go over, we can connect our island, and it will be a successful, bus transit for our people.
Thank you. And now we're going to go to our final panel round. But before I do, I want to ask any of the panelists, do you have any questions based on that? Okay, so we're going to move on. Earlier I said 8 questions because the previous one, or the next group, was actually 8 of them. But now we're just going to do round up on a 7. And Miles, you're going to ask that question. And first to answer will be Tante Urban.
Mr. Urban, an increased number of local residents will be moving to the mainland in search of better paying jobs and career opportunities, according to some economists. Many of our children go away to college with no intent of returning. What will you do to develop and support new industries and businesses to create good paying career opportunities for our island residents?
Yeah, regarding the industry, we need to create more. Can you ask that question again?
Of course. An increased number of local residents will be moving to the mainland in search of better paying jobs and career opportunities, according to some economists. Many of our children go away to college with no intent of returning. What will you do to develop and support new industries and businesses to create good paying career opportunities for our island residents?
Yeah, we need to diversify our economy. We need to bring sports tourism. We need to bring agriculture. We need to create entrepreneur innovation program. We need to work with nonprofits and have more programs in the community where we can have diversified agriculture. Technology is a one way to bring boost the economy. Healthcare also it's another way to boost our economy. Our weather is very good here for senior living, so we should work on that one. Thank you.
Mr. Ross, your response.
If you can read it one more time, because it's
Of
a little
course.
bit different than what we were given.
Okay. Well, the primary question is, what will you do to develop and support new industries and businesses to create good-paying career opportunities for our island residents?
Okay. Well, this is a really personal issue for me. I have 3 kids. They all grew up here, went to school here. They're all now living on the mainland. And really, what this is really about is creating quality jobs and affordable housing. And the way you do that is you have to change the philosophy of government to one that helps its local businesses, its people thrive, rather than a government that permits its people to exist. You do this by working together with our business community, our chambers, asking them what's working, figuring out the things that we need to fix. We all have talked about a need to streamline our permitting process. We need to make sure that the laws are being interpreted in a way that helps our businesses rather than prevents them from succeeding. Right now we have a very anti-business climate and we need to make some changes there. We can do this by doing that, obtaining grant funds, and there's so many other ideas I'd like to talk to you about.
Thank you. Mr. Higa.
Thank you. You know, economic opportunities are out there for us. I want to be the type of mayor that's actually going to go to all the different communities. As Ikaika, you stated, you know, it's about inspiring our youth to be able to stay home and live the kind of lives that they want to live. And for example, I look at, you know, ranchers and agricultural people. We as a county need to figure out how to make them, how to help them market, how to make their business models work, you know, because agriculture, we all know, is very, very tough. I'm looking at offering some type of county support when it comes to storage. Maybe we need some type of a co-op, an agriculture co-op, so that our farmers and ranchers can actually get their products to market, get them distributed. And at the same time, you want to be able to work with astronomy. You want to work with the colleges, because I believe there are people who want to go and have higher education, but also the trades, the community college. plumbers, electricians. Those are all noble and good work. So part of economy is stimulating our economy so that these people can have a job in our communities.
Thank you. Mr. Azevedo, your response.
Our kids are the future of Hawaii. This becomes more and more difficult too, because reality is more kids and entire families moving away. Why? We got everything here. We got the land here. We got agriculture. We got everything. Aqua farming. Got a lot of stuff we can do for our kids here. And they can get better pay by improving, working hard. By working together with private sectors, we can build livestock, aquaculture, crops. We have so much option here, for farming. We got another one is marketing, packaging, all that stuff we did before. We did in the sugar and macadamia nut. Let's continue that. Let's find that and let's do it. Why? The Alkeikis here. We need to provide for them. We need to let them stay home, where they call home, where they feel loved. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Kim.
Recently there was some heavy publicity about losing school teachers or teachers not being able to afford to live in Hawaii. We can't just talk about jobs. Everything's connected. The island of Hawaii was the only island that did not lose population in comparison to Maui, Kauai, and Oahu. And all of it was for one reason, the affordability of living here. That was happening at a time when the state of Hawaii had the lowest unemployment percentage of 3-point-something, even lower. What we have to focus is diversify in regards to our economic base and make sure we create living conditions here that is affordable. And one of the things that we have that no one else has is the land availability. Of diversification, I've said quite openly what I feel about Mauna Kea. It is of diversification of science and attracting other things. Thank you.
Mr. Marzo.
Try that question again. Can you recite the question?
Sure. What will you do to develop and support new industries and businesses to create good paying career opportunities for our island residents?
So I remember you saying about it's our keiki, so it's a brain drain, conversation. First thing we need to do is Hawaii needs to be a business-friendly island. We need to start accelerating programs like what Mitch said. We need to stop that old attitude where, okay, we want you guys to be somebody. Go to college and be somebody in the world. We got to change that attitude and say, hey, be somebody, get your college education, and come back and invest back into our community here. We need that. We need to open that and ensure that to our keiki or our people around the world that, hey, if you come back, we'll make sure that your business will be successful. And with that, bringing down our affordable housing and making it affordable for them to come back and live here.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I think the diversified ag, the businesses, but bring in science and technology. Also, the biggest thing, bring in other universities. A lot of our kids, both my kids in the medical field, and they got in, they're nurses, but medical's a big thing. We have big money here on this island that want better facilities and to train them in the technology in. And we can't just rely on the University of Hawaii. I go to love their football games and everything, but we need to partner up with other universities that have trial programs. What just happened the last few months? Kids paying $60,000, $70,000 education to a college, but yet they're home doing it online here. So we need to reach out to other special universities that fit the mold for this island and bring them to partnership up along with the University of Hawaii. We need other partners, and that's one to keep our kids here and get good jobs and paying to stay home. But that's big with me, partnering with other universities besides UH.
Well, thank you very much, all the candidates. You can take a deep breath. We are done with part one. First quarter's over, but let's get started right into part two. We have arrived now at the point of the debate where each candidate gets to ask another candidate a question until all of you have had your opportunity to ask the candidate of your choice a question. So each candidate will have 30 seconds to ask the question. The response will be a minute. Okay, So now once this round is completed, then the panelists will have 5 minutes to redirect any questions, something similar to what Ilihia did earlier, for further response. So each candidate, 30 seconds to respond to the panelists after that, okay? We're gonna start with Mitch Roth. You can choose anyone you want to ask a question.
Okay, I'll start with Stacy. Stacy, in homelessness, you talked about tough love. In Civil Beat, you talked about working with the council to create sit-lie, nuisance, and vagrancy laws. But in 2018, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeal found that those laws were unconstitutional. How would you create those laws, being that they're unconstitutional?
Well, again, Mitch, like as a lawyer, it's how you ask that question, right? As a lawyer, if you're a good lawyer, you're going to ask that question a different way. So as long as, for me as a business guy, I want to get to that place that I want to be as a tough love. So, I look at it this way. When we have our homeless people out there, we have to create laws that do not impact our communities. At the end of the day, we don't want people defecating in our streets. We don't want people taking over our parks. Those are the types of things our mayor needs to protect our community. So I'll do whatever it takes to make sure that I can separate that homeless people, like I said. That's the kind of laws I'm talking about. And my whole thing is, like I said, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, as a lawyer, you should know, that's not the ultimate court. There's another court above that called the Supreme Court. So my whole thing is, I would keep on making laws until I can get what I gotta do to make sure I protect our communities.
Okay, now Stacy, you actually get to ask a question of someone else.
Thank you. Okay. I'm gonna ask this my friend Harry Kim there, Mayor Kim. Because I've been campaigning a lot, and people have been talking to me about the commitment to the West Side, because as part of my thing, I've made the commitment, if I'm elected mayor, I'm gonna work on the West Side a lot. So I wanna just ask you, in approximately the 825 working days of this term, how many days can you say you actually worked or visited out of the West Hawaiʻi Civic Center? Because that's what people were expecting the mayor to do. So can you just tell how many days and why or why not?
I'm just smiling at you, Stacy. I think you know, because you have some management experience, it's not where you work, it's how you work. I mean, take a look at the 3 years you're talking about. Take a look at this past 3 months. 100% of those days was in Hilo. It has to be. And I'll say it openly. I went to work 7 days a week for 3 months straight without 1 day break. Obviously, none of it was in Kona, except a couple of meetings. In regards to the rest of the year, we all know how, in regards to the element of other emergencies, including hurricanes, the lava flow was another 2-month basis. Every day, that place also. I go where the work demands me to go. As far as number of days, I don't count, but obviously it doesn't add up. Ask me the same question for Kohala.
Thank you, Mr. Kim. Mr. Azevedo, you get to ask a question of a candidate.
It's for Mr. Kim.
You.
Mr. Kim, I thank you for the 11 years you coached me. Between you and my dad, you showed me so much leadership. You guys made me the leader I am today. And then if elected mayor, the next 4 years, what you gonna do that you didn't do in the last 12 you did?
Well, first of all, we have one of the major reasons coming back, Neil, is the element of finishing up what we started. The COVID thing is going to go on. It's going to be a very difficult time in transition, but also emergency response, because I think we know now, judging what's coming on in a mailing, it's not over. In regards to the lava flow, we created something that no other county government has ever done, even Hawaii Island, and it's post-impact responses in regards to a program. We just signed a 5-year contract with them employees to address those things we started. Sure, people are impatient, but it takes that long to get funding. And none of it was available, whether it be FEMA or whether it be state funding. There's so many things that are unfinished. I need to finish. I want to finish. And truthfully, I have a tremendous passion to want to do it.
Thank you, Mr. Kim. And now you get to ask a question of any of these gentlemen.
How's your football team, Neil? I will ask the question, but he knows I coached him since he was 9 years old. And I coached against him. I think I lost every game too.
Yeah.
But anyway, I haven't even thought about this phase of it, so I'll stay with you. I don't even have a question, but I'll talk to you. One of the things that I feel a little disappointment about is the information on what we did. I'm really proud of all the work done of responding to the guesses, the poison guesses 3 times.
Mr. Kim, your question. We'll have to get to the question just because we're out of time. So.
Tell me what you would have done differently in regards to the eruption.
I think I would, technically, there are so many things that happened during that time. Something that I would have done differently if I was in the mayor's seat, been proactive, start to create plans before anything should happen. During that time, it was I get uneasy because our community needed help. Some of the things that was happening during that, we can go on and on and on and on about this. And, I'd like to thank you of what our county had done, and also in Kalapana. But how I learned of taking care of our community was because of you, was how you took care of my family in Kalapana. And I piggybacked off your response in Kalapana, and that's what I did in Puna, during the Puna eruption. So I like to say, mahalo, during that whole time. We watched you. You was a huge person in our community during that time.
Thank you for your answer on that. And just because we're going this way, it's actually your turn to ask a question.
So I'm going to throw a little curveball. I come from a family where, respect, humble. You got to be humble, as you know, our family in Kalapana. And we come from a humbling upbringing. So for me, I'm not a politician, but, I'm not that kind of person. So this is my question to Harry. What do you admire about Brother Neil?
About Neil? I like that kind of question. Hey, Neil. When Neil was 9 years old, played football for me. When he was 17 years old, he played football for me as a varsity at Waikea High School, just one of those things. And I'll tell you, passion of Neil as a player, as a person, is second to none. As a junior, if I remember correctly, Neil, you were my captain already? Sophomore? Oh. You're right. I brought him up from JV, right?
Yes.
Because I needed leadership. Can you imagine? Bob, that's not normal, right?
Yes.
To bring a sophomore up. So that's Neil as a passion, as a leader and a player, outstanding person there. And yes, he's on that side of the table and I'm on this side, but absolutely we're still friends, right, Neil?
All the time.
Thank you very much for that compelling question and answer. And now we're going to go to the person who you said beat you a couple of times to have his question.
Via his brother-in-law.
Oh.
As far as question, I'll ask Mitch. A member of West Hawaii Park Association, WEPAC. If you're elected mayor, how much commitment will you keep on building the regional park in Kona?
I think first off, and there's some really good questions. I think it's important that the mayor, as well as the cabinet, is regularly over on, the Kona side, and throughout this whole island. This administration needs to lead the whole island.
You heard that, Kona.
And so, I think the regional park is a great idea. I think it's already in the CIP, so it needs to happen, and I would give a lot of support to that.
Thank you.
Mr. Urban, your question to any candidate.
Yeah, Stacy. Stacy, what are your 3 immediate projects in Kona for West Hawaii?
Oh, in West Hawaii? Okay.
West Hawaii. Yeah.
Perfect. My first probably would be making sure we get more Malcolm Makai connector roads on because again, trying to get around in Kona is very, very tough in the Ali corridor, even the Ali Parkway, right? I mean, that was on the books from when I was on the council back in 2005. And we spent millions and millions of dollars on that. And from my understanding now, it's barely maybe a one-lane road. So I need to figure out how to I'm about ROI, return on investment. So we spent so much money on that. I got to figure out how we can kind of recoup something if we're not going to finish the entire road. And then the other thing I think is one of the biggest ones, actually a couple more I got, is I think we need more water sources in Kona, because the type of salt water that you folks, the brackish water, is terrible for the Kona population. So we need more wells in Kona. And then lastly, probably the sewer treatment plant out there, because it's outdated. It's so close to the ocean. We need to malama our island, and we need to make sure that we can take care. So I got tons of projects in Kona if I'm elected, tons of them.
All right, thank you all for your questions to each other. And now we're going to return to the panelists. We're going to give redirect questions. We're going to begin with Miles Yoshioka.
Stacy, you talked about the sewer treatment plant in Kona. Currently the county is discharging about 1.8 millions of gallons per day of partially treated sewer waste into the ground near the Kona police station. It's just over a mile, just over half a mile from the ocean. And that wastewater and its pollutants are documented in Honokahau Harbor. The county has planned to build a wastewater treatment plant that would fix the problem and keep the county from likely EPA penalties for dumping the sewage and polluting the ocean, but has put off completing the wastewater treatment plant. Maui County just lost a lawsuit over the matter, so there's an obvious precedent. Exactly what is your plan to resolve this situation?
Thank you. 30 seconds real quick. I'm going to talk real fast, all right? So again, it's updating the sewer plant. Because again, if you look at what it's going to cost in penalties and what we're doing to the environment, you're talking about not millions, but billions of dollars in unintended consequences. So part of that is rebuilding the plant, updating it. Also, again, using it. The original plan for that was a golf course. That's why right over there, it's supposed to have been a golf course to actually take that sewage plant water and use it to irrigate the golf course. Instead, it never happened, and so now it's going into the ocean. So I'll fix that right away.
Thank you.
Thank you, and now we're going to our next panelist for a redirect question. Kristen, what's your question and to whom?
So redirect, we talked a few times in that last round of Q&A about West Hawaii, right? Because obviously we're in Hilo this evening. My question is for Mr. Azevedo. If elected, how are you going to make sure that the whole island has access to your team?
Well, number one, right now I'm traveling around the whole island with my kids. We're visiting every community, we're talking story. We want to know everybody's concerns and everybody what they care about, what they need. We'll get a managing director in Kona. So whatever I say, he got my back and I got his. I respect him. We treat people like how we like to be treated. So whatever he says, that's it. Don't worry, I got him. We're going to take care of each other. What it says in East says in West, same thing. We treat everybody equal.
Thank you. And now, Ilihia, you get an opportunity to redirect a question to one of the candidates.
Mahalo. I'm actually going to take one of Tante's questions about the 3 project priorities in Kona, and I'd like to direct that to Mayor Kim. What are your 3 next priority projects in Kona, and why have you not done them already?
First of all, in reference to a previous question about connecting roads, that is something that we completed a plan some time ago. And that is the plan that I think you will like in regards to improving connecting roads. And just to put it on the record, there was this administration that developed the plans for the Ane-Hokolole Highway. Our plan number 1 is to complete and the attention to the connector roads and other connector roads.
Very difficult to get 3 points into 30 seconds, but we're going to move on, and that's going to be back to the candidate question and answer period. So this time, Mr. Higa, you get to be the first one to choose a candidate and ask a question.
Okay, so I'm going to ask one from Mitch here. Okay. I went on your website, and it states, above all, it's very important to me, that you said you represent the Hawaii Island with integrity. Yeah. So it says, I'll make it a priority to ensure that members of my administration treat everyone with dignity and respect. I feel people not getting their answers as so I feel people is not getting the answers as fast, or maybe not getting the answers they like, is a major problem. But I wasn't aware of treating people with dignity or respect. So is that a problem that you actually see in the workforce, that our county workers are not treating people with dignity or respect?
I do get a lot of complaints from people about how government treats people, and I think we've all talked about some of them, whether it's in the building planning, permitting process. I think that's really a big issue. In my office, every person that started in my office, I tell them the same thing. I expect you to treat people the way you want your family members to be treated. That goes for all the employees, it goes for the victims and witnesses, but it also goes for the defendants and the defense attorneys, because if your family was being prosecuted, how would you want them to be treated? It doesn't mean they get a special deal, but it means that you treat them, openly and honestly. And that's how I've run the prosecutor's office, that's how I've raised my kids, and that's how I plan on running the county as mayor. Thanks.
Thank you. And Captain Azevedo, it's your turn.
Ikaika.
Yo.
I just want to mahalo you for the hub, setting it up down there. When I was down there, day in, day night, I used to see you over there. Just thank you for all what you did for the Puna community. What do you think the county could do better in that the whole lava flow and stuff? Please.
I think working with the community, connecting the community with county government, being proactive with the county government, having the EOC right in the middle of the whole eruption, where it was accessible for our people, because that's what it came down to. You got to imagine, everyone lost everything. Lava flow came in, took everything. Some took their cars, some took their pets, some took all their the important information. Being available, that's one of the things that a lot of people were concerned about, because the reason why we were successful is because we was available. So they could come to I brought in experts to answer the questions from USGS people that used to be in the USGS, brought in Hope Services for housing. And on top of all that, just being with the community, making that connection, because there was a big gap during that time.
Thank you. And Mayor Kim, you now get to ask a question.
I asked the question in regards to last time what you would do differently, and I still don't understand. So I will ask again, what would you do differently in regards to the issue of connection experts that were all in our office 24 hours a day, trying to do a job on the big emergency was on the coast, up the coast, the volcano. What would you have done differently to coordinate all of them 24 hours a day?
So, Mayor Harry Kim, we did that. We took care of our community 24 hours a day. In that first week, I didn't sleep. The people that we worked with didn't sleep. We've been there. We've been in every part of that eruption. We got information for our community, timely information, and also being a food hub. We fed our people. As for the question that you asked, what I would have done differently, done nothing, because it was successful. We took care of our community, and you can go into Puna and ask, how did the hub take care of you? They will tell you it was a place of haven. It was a place where they could come, because people were, experiencing stuff that they never did experience in their life. And to be in an area where everyone is experiencing the same thing, it was so comforting that everyone was together as a family.
Thank you. And now, actually, we're back again in the same route, so it's your turn to ask a question.
Okay. Curveball. Stacy, what do you admire about Mitch?
Well, I got 1 minute for this, so I'm buying. Now, Mitch and I are friends. His son and my son both attended Cub Scouts together. I think Mitch is one of the nicest guys I've ever met. I mean, really, Mitch, you and I were always friends. So, but again, that's different from whether I support him as mayor. My thing about this is about offering opportunities or choices, yeah. But I like Mitch. Mitch is an honorable guy. I just have a difference of opinion in the type of management style that I think between he and I. But from a personal standpoint, you know, in fact, I like everybody in this room. I like everybody who's running. I take my hat off to each and every single person who's running for mayor, because you don't know what it's like until you actually start running for mayor. You know, all of a sudden you have to be everywhere, and you still have to live a life. So, you know, I know Mitch is a proud father. I mean, I worked with his daughters as well. Just awesome. He's an awesome guy. I like Mitch.
Thanks, Stacey.
Thank you. Mr. Fitzgerald, you get a chance to ask a question of a candidate.
Oh, I'll take Mr. Azevedo over there. Aaron Samita said to say hi, by the way. We're coaching. I think my biggest thing, and it's part of my platform of doing something quickly, is counterflow lanes. Has the county or yourself ever looked into counterflow lanes, both in Hilo and Kona, like they do on Kauai, moving traffic in the morning and moving traffic in the afternoon, have people assigned to that? So the question is, what would you do as mayor to work on that?
Well, first of all, connect the roads. That's what we need. Kona side, we need Anike done. You know, we need it done. They did a lot of studying on that, and the middle road, bypass road. You know, we need that done already. They did all the studying. You know, for now, we just got to get it done. You know, I'm just a doer. Let's go. Let's get the roads, connect everything, so everybody be happy. Everybody travel. Make contour lanes. State already doing that at 130. You know, for county roads, it's kind of narrow. You know, it's hard for really to do that. You know, but we got to look at it better. And for Kona we need it at Queen K. You know, Mauka Queen K. That's bad over there. You know, traffic backed up. How are we going to do it? We got to work with the state. This is a state road. We got to find a way to get it going over there. That's it. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Mr. Urban, you get to ask a question.
Yeah, thank you. Mayor Kim, now that Hilo landfill is closing, was there ever an option to have a replacement landfill?
Landfills will never be built in Hawaii again in regards to the EPA rules, and this is an international goal already. Many countries have outlawed landfills. Our responsibility here is to try to find a productive use of our waste instead of making it a problem. You know, there's two things you can investigate. First of all, on the recycling, we have to really see where we can recycle things. What has really affected recycling is the less demand from our main market of China. Steel is one of the best examples. A few years ago, if you had a junk car, they would pay you $500, $600, $700 for that junk. Now you have to pay that money to get rid of it. So we have to be very aggressive in finding out what else we can do. In regards to, there's two things of energy I think we can, and we should, look into. Hydrogen is one of them. And the other is, you know, element of combustion, waste to energy type. But we have to find ways aggressively.
Thank you. And now, Mr. Roth, you get to ask a question.
Well, I feel bad for asking you here, but I'm going to give you a softball. Hopefully it's a softball, but it's something I don't know. And that is, you know, we had the lava, and I know that you've been working on a lava recovery plan. What is that plan?
Oh, thank you for that question, Mitch, really. That is something that I thought we failed the people of Kalapana. We asked the people of Kalapana because agreement was made with Hawaii Volcano Observatory, this eruption of Pu'u'o, Kupainaha, that destroyed your homes, you know, was not over. And we felt that no action should be taken in any of the recovery areas as below the rift that threatened Pahoa 4 or 5 years ago, until the eruption is over for at least 6 months. Believe it or not, since 1983, when the eruption started at Pu'u'o, it did not stop until Leilani, and that was over 30 years ago. And so we could have just stopped there, but the recovery plan was developed because it was something we need to do. And the commitment is to go back to see Kalapana, where we can finish the roads there for people who are impatient. This is a total plan of recovery, and it's going to be a good one.
Thank you. Thank you, all of you, for those questions. And now, I mentioned earlier about another group. So if you're just tuning in, there's a second, due to physical distancing, we had to separate the two groups. They're 15 candidates that all participated in this debate. And right now we're going to turn to the panelists who have questions from other candidates that participated in the other group to candidates who are participating in this group. And we're going to start with Miles for you to pose the question from another candidate to one of these.
Okay, the question came from candidate Mikey Glendon to Mr. Roth.
Okay.
I read a statement you said about preserving our Hawaiian culture and values. Personally, I like the sound of that. Here's one angle to this topic that hits my people to the core, which many look over as a silent epidemic, yet it's deafening to me, to us. We are the highest ranking ethnicity group in Hawaii's justice system. Articles read that the Hawaii incarceration rates stand out internationally. Majority of the inmates in Hawaii are Hawaiian. Share with us your vision to reverse this true cultural epidemic, your exact plan of attack.
You know, that's a great question. You know, Hawaiians do represent a disproportionate amount of people in the criminal justice system, but they also are disproportionate in other negative factors, CPS, drug abuse, teenage pregnancies. And, you know, that's really hard to grasp when you think about Hawaiians 150 years ago, one of the most educated people on the earth, one of the highest literacy rates in the world. The building Imi Loa is a seeker of knowledge. I mean, that's what Imi Loa means, a seeker of knowledge. That was the values of the Hawaiian people. And so one of the things I think is really amazing that we have right now is that we have the schools, the charter schools that are helping Hawaiians regain their language. I think that's so important. The reason why they're at where they're at is because of the things that were taken away, and we need to work together with the Hawaiian community to make sure we restore those things.
Thank you. And now we're going to have another question, and Kristen's going to pose the question from a candidate in the other group to one of the candidates here. Kristen?
This message is for Mr. Mayor, Harry Kim, and it comes from Mike Ruggles. Dear Harry Kim, why did you spend $15 million of taxpayer dollars on police presence overtime on the mountain?
Thank you for that. We did spend $0 on Mauna Kea of county property tax. That was a contract between the state government, Governor Higa, and the police department. As you know, the Hawaii County Police Department is under the commission authority. The mayor has very little authority except for budgetary review and those things. Again, I say that contract was made and paid for, which the county received the payment for, 100% of the expenses of the police department of Mauna Kea issue.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now we have another question, and Ilihia is going to pose that question.
Aloha. And I just wanted to note that we're presenting these questions verbatim as they were presented by the candidates in the previous pod, so that everyone had the opportunity to ask their questions. So this one is from candidate Paul Bryant, and this question is for Mr. Roth.
Okay.
Many times, all 15 candidates have been asked what sort of experience made them qualified to handle a workforce of over 2,000 people with an annual budget of millions of dollars. Your experience in the prosecutor's office means you know how to handle a staff of 20 plus or minus, and for a far smaller annual budget. Why do you think this lesser experience gives you an upper hand over everyone else except the incumbent in being able to effectively deal with both the massive budget and county staff effectively?
So again, it's kind of asked earlier, but I actually have over 120 people with a budget of over $11 million. And, you know, we've been asked to keep a pretty much a flat status quo budget, and yet we've been able to expand in our office. We've been able to do things that haven't been done in other prosecutors' offices in the country. For example, we started the very first restorative justice program in the country, and according to the prosecutors' debate the other night, everybody wants to keep that. other prosecutors' offices from around the country are doing that. We had a courthouse dog. We didn't have funds for these things, but we went out and we actively sought out grant funding to do that. And I think that's important. The other experience I have is I actually owned a business. I've been a small business owner. I started a business brokerage with some friends, and we help people buy and sell businesses. We also help them build business plans and get things done. So that's my experience.
Thank you. And we have more questions from the other group. So Miles, if you could ask the question from another candidate that participated in the first group.
Okay, this question is for Mr. Marzo, from Mikey Glendon. What is the exact vision to restoring our Hawaiian kingdom?
Well, Hawaiian kingdom, my grandfather, my Hanai grandfather, Robert Kiliomalu, was part of the Hawaiian kingdom. He was part of the movement. But I think what we need to restore first is our Hawaiian culture. Our Hawaiian culture is a huge factor in moving forward as a person. Hawaiian kingdom, right? It's a long term. It's not short term. We need to work with the federal government and the state government on how we can move forward. But my first thing was we need to bring back our Hawaiian culture to Hawaii Island. Then we can move forward of moving back into the kingdom.
Thank you. And now we're going to move on to another question. Kristen, you have that question.
This question is from Dr. Ted Schoenfeld to Mr. Mayor Harry Kim. Harry, when Kapoho was covered by the 1960 lava flow, Kupuna, who lived at the time, told of how people had removed all of their belongings, even disassembling their roofing and windows before the lava hit, and then they were allowed to be present to photograph the house burning from the heat of the lava to collect fire insurance, all without loss of life. Yet in this recent eruption that claimed your vacation home, there were reports of people being prevented at gunpoint from even saving their tools of trade and livestock. How would you give greater freedom to residents to evacuate their belongings in future eruptions?
First of all, I never heard of anyone at gunpoint. Secondly, I am very proud of the way the eruption was handled. It was an unprecedented amount of lava coming on the lower rift of over 1 million cubic yards, per hour in regards to that place. The timely evacuation and warning of people by gas, poisonous gas, possibly hydrogen sulfide gas, the daily earthquakes of occurring is unprecedented. It was a real life-threatening situation every day. I'm looking at Neil because he had tasks in regards to check the major earthquakes up volcano, as well as daily checks, hourly checks in regards to the direction of the wind. I feel that no one was lost except for a couple of injured. I felt that the job was done well. And in regards to preventing people from getting hurt, it was done.
Thank you, Mayor Kim. We have one more question from the pod, and then we're going to move on with our group just here. Ilihia.
Mahalo. Continuing on with the theme of the 2018 Puna eruption, this question comes from candidate Yumi Kawano, and it's to Mr. Marzo.
Mm-hmm.
We know that you are born and raised in Puna, and you and your grassroots disaster relief organization helped much of Lower Puna during the 2018 disaster. An anonymous source reported to me, and I'm a member of the Puna CDP Action Committee, that your organization received much more basic aid from the county, such as the civil defense, than the Kapoho grassroots folks. That there was preferential treatment. How can you assure all the people of Hawaii County that you can be fair and equitable, and how have you demonstrated that kind of fairness during a time of disaster?
Wait, should I repeat that question again?
Sure.
Try do that again.
I'll repeat the ending. How can you assure all the people of Hawaii County that you can be fair and equitable, and how have you demonstrated that kind of fairness during a time of disaster?
So, I don't know what she's trying to get to, but we were fair during that time. everything was pretty much transparent. A lot of what we were doing was right in the open. People were bringing in donations, and it was going just as fast right out because that's how much people were getting hit. On regards to the hub, we'll get this out there. So we got a lot of monetary donations. And at the end of the flow, it was hard for us to apply, not hard, but it was difficult for us to apply for a nonprofit organization. So that money stayed in our account. And we had to look for different nonprofits that would have, that would take care of our people in Lower Puna. Like the mission statement would be directly for lava recovery. And finally we got somebody that would take in the money and disperse it with our community would be Kilauea Hui.
Thank you. And now we've reached time on that answer, but mahalo for doing your best that you could in a minute. And we actually are going to go back to that. So you guys get one more round. And we're going to start with you, Mr. Azevedo. You get to ask a question. This is now just face-to-face. So go ahead.
Okay, Mitch, for you. I just want to thank you for the Kilauea lava flow. Remember when you came down, meet me, Poiki and Leilani, right before we closed the road and stuff. He came down, had one guy lives down there, and he was giving kind of a hard time, and from there you stepped in and I went and do what I had to do, and you took over the guy, started with the guy. I just thank you for that. I just really appreciate that. Give me an opportunity for doing.
Did you have a question? We have to.
Yes, that's the question. Yes, thank you. Tell me about the lava flow.
So thanks, Neil. One of the greatest things that I was able to do during the lava flow is our office had a group of faith leaders that would come in every month, and we talk about different things that were happening, how faith could be of assistance. When the lava flow happened, we brought the faith leaders in because we knew that everybody was going to be feeding people. We knew that if they went out there and gave all that food, there'd be problems. So the faith leaders came in, we put white paper all around the room, we asked what faith can do, and they did help feed people. They helped feed about 60,000 meals. They helped provide laundry. I believe they did about $10,000 worth of laundry. They helped with childcare. They helped build tiny houses. They helped build all these things. And what was great for me is I was able to bring that group together, not really do too much after that other than attend the meetings, but it was so great to see faith, Christians, Catholics, Jews, Buddhists, all working together to make a great change. So thanks, Neil.
Thank you. Mayor Kim, you get to ask a question.
Yeah, Mitch, I understood you wrote, and I read it, that you have a different position in regards to Mauna Kea, that your words were, your position is different from mine, but you never did explain what it is. May I ask what it is?
Sure. With Mauna Kea, I believe that, well, first of all, Mauna Kea is a state land, state agencies that are governing it. So DLNR, University of Hawaii, state enforcement. DoCare is the enforcement agency up there. My belief is that the mayor is in charge of the 17 departments down below. And yes, there is a role that the mayor can play, but I didn't think that the mayor should have taken the lead role. I think the governor should have taken that lead role. I believe that the mayor should be working together to make sure the dialogue is moving forward. And I know that you did do some of those things, but I think by taking over that activity and allowing the governor to have that step aside, I think we had some real big issues there.
Thank you. Mr. Marzo, you have an opportunity to ask a question.
Okay, not a curveball, but I'm gonna ask the question back to you, Uncle Harry. What would you have done differently during the eruption? Because you was a huge pillar in Kalapana, and all of us looked towards you. I remember at Harry K. Brown Park, and then Walter's store. You would come running down the road saying, hey, can you get families to come and help evacuate this family down the road, and we'll be going down the road. So what would you done differently during the lava flow?
We collectively thought about that many, many times during and after to learn from. I do not think really that the evacuation notices could have been done better. I guarantee you no one could have done better, and I'm still amazed that it was done in the speed of FEMA declaration, presidential declaration, and the setting up of the Disaster Assistance Center in time is unbelievable. They're taking care of 300 to 500 people every day, 3 meals a day. Done away with community and everybody else, to me, unbelievable. The decision to evacuate and allow people to stay as long as possible was a risky one, but we knew they will never see it again. I think went well. The only thing I think I would have done differently and maybe better is because of the timeliness of things, that you could always Monday night quarterback.
Thank you. Mr. Fitzgerald, your opportunity to ask a question.
Ask a question. Why don't I go with Stacy? Kind of a couple questions, but I'll take one. Stacy, would you ascertain the idea of working with a large nonprofit to actually build things around the island and skipping the process of, the county funds, buy materials only, actually buying materials and let the nonprofit go forward with it?
Yes. Thank you, Bob, for that question. Because of my nonprofit background and business background, I'll tell you this, that nonprofits are invaluable to our community. I always say this, when your nonprofits are hurting in your community, 99% of the time, your communities are hurting. So, what you're talking about is something that I looked at. I would actually look at, if you found the Hawaii Community Foundation that Mike Akane runs. Great foundation throughout the state, yeah? Millions of dollars. I believe we can create a Hawaii Island Community Foundation that'll do exactly what you're talking about. Using the West Side benefactors. There are a lot of people that have tremendous wealth out there. I mean, as a landowner, property owner for Naleo, we have people renting our facilities that are from very, very wealthy people. So I think, that's why it's important that the mayor, important that our county, malama those people. We accept them, as part of our ohana. And we use them and help them help us. So yes, definitely, nonprofits are a huge part of my platform. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Irvan, you have a question.
Mitch, your first 100 days, what would you have accomplished?
Well, one of the first things that we need to look at is we need to start putting together a plan on what we're going to do with our waste system here in Hawaii County. So the Gila landfill, we've been dealing with that for a while. We're going to put together a team to work on a plan on that real quickly. Also in the first 100 days, we're going to arrange to have a sustainability summit to start looking at how we move forward. And of course, probably the biggest things within the first 100 days is to make sure that we have the right people in the right places on the bus. What I mean by that is you have to have a leadership team in place by that first 100 days. And the book Good to Great, they say the best way to make sure you have a successful administration is you have the right people in the right places on the bus. Thank you.
And Mr. Roth, it's your turn for a question.
To ask another question?
Yes.
Okay. Let's see. Neil, I'll give you a softball. You gave me a softball. I know that you worked really hard during the lava flow. Can you just tell everybody what you did?
Okay, at 2 o'clock in the morning, I got a phone call from EOC to tell me, can you come into EOC? I said, okay, what it is about? So, Leilani might erupt. I said, what? I said, wow. So I told the wife I gotta go. So I went to EOC, sat down, had volcano guys up there. We were sitting down, we were talking, and they said that from the next day, I woke up, I went straight to Puna Roads, Highways Division. I talked to them. I said, we gotta look for cracks in the road, look for everything. There's cracks, whatever kind. So we drove around. We found the first crack, found the first lava flow. We did all that. We had to evacuate people, help people. We was driving around to everybody's home, letting them know what's going on. Let's go. We got to get ready to go. The whole thing is Highways Division, first responders, beautiful people, hard workers. We should hats off to them. Without them, would be worse. But God bless to them.
Thank you. And now we're going to wrap up this round of Q and Q is good with Stacy Higa. You have the last question for this round.
Thank you. So this is my question to Ikaika. So Ikaika, you know, I'm so proud of you for the work that you've done in Puna. And what makes it great is, you know, I'm part Hawaiian, you're part Hawaiian, yeah? But I want to know, because I made my stance on TMT known. And a lot of people want to know where you stand. I like to know personally where you stand on that, because, you know, as a Hawaiian, right, I know it's a state issue like you state, but I just want a yes or no answer. Are you supportive of TMT or not? And then if so, why or why not?
So I don't support TMT. Actually, I take that back. I don't support any construction on Mauna Kea. TMT has done a lot in our community. They had to invest a lot of money, STEM education, food bank. So they did a lot in our community, and they deserve the opportunity. But it comes down to government transparency and trust. The reason why a lot of people, I've been up there during the whole protest and been on the sides of both sides. I was up there in a neutral stance, but the reason why I stand with that is because the wrongs that have been done on the Mauna, the management, from the management to the ownership of the road, all of that is all up in the air. So, you know, in order for anything to happen, our government going to have to correct their wrongs. And that's the reason why everyone stood up, is because enough was enough. Mahalo.
Thank you. Now we're going to turn to our esteemed panelists again to see if they have any redirect questions. I'm going to start with Ilihia. Do you have a redirect question for any of these candidates?
Could I pass for it now and pass it to my colleague down the table?
Yes.
Who's going to punt back? No. I'll take it.
Kristen, are you ready?
Oh, you want
No, go ahead.
I guess this question is for Mayor Kim. A multi-million-dollar, multi-department EnerGov software system designed to streamline the planning and building permit process was started in 2016, but the system is still not yet up and running. Could you please share an update on the current situation?
Thank you for that. I'm proud of that. That's one of the things I would invite everyone to check. Very short, I think it was just released in a True Hell, West Hawaii too, I assume, in regards to the building permit system. Took a year and a half to do. Changes of this type, it takes time. I think we're there. That is the same system that will improve the bus system and other departments. And I think you will find the changes in regards to the permitting system, the big first major change.
Thank you. And a reminder to our candidates, when the panelists ask a question, we have to cut it to 30 seconds response, and that was perfect timing, Mayor Kim. And Kristen, do you have a question, a redirect question for one of the candidates?
Thank you. Yes. My redirect question is actually for Tante. I would like to know, in the face of a future eruption, what steps would you take to ensure the safety of people?
Well, we need to bring the federal government and the state and the county to get a plan on a safety plan. We need to put it together. We talk with the civil defense and put a safety plan together.
Thank you.
Ilihia.
I have a redirect that's composed of a few questions that were asked around the table, and this is for Mayor Kim. You know, as a resident of Kona, myself and some of my neighbors had a feeling that during the disaster in Puna, there was very little attention paid to the needs of other parts of the island due to the focus on the recovery of Puna, which totally understandable. That was a very large event. But having been in emergency management for so long and gone through multiple disasters, what can you tell folks about doing multiple things at once, right? Even though disasters are going on, the needs of other parts of the island don't go away. So just your thoughts on that, please.
The county government has a lot of responsibilities, as you know. The pandemic is a classic example. The eruption is a classic example. All departments carry on their regular duties. When you talk about public works or planning, nothing has changed in regards to the assignments of those people. None of them from Kona was brought back to the east side, to carry on our responsibilities. We use all resources, including military, and nothing has changed.
Thank you. And because of time, and let me explain something, because some of you candidates might be wondering, what? I got to ask another question. And the reason is because the other group had one more candidate. So it was a little longer, but we're making sure that our viewers have the same opportunity and length of time within the time. Thank you, Big Island Pulse, for allowing that time on Naleo TV. So we're going to go back, and I believe we start with Mayor Kim.
You know, I'll look at you, Mitch, again. One of the hardest jobs that took almost 2 years to finish was short-term rentals. And it's tied into so many problems. There are thousands of illegal rentals on every island. It's a factor. You know, could I ask you what your position on the work done on vacation rentals that was accomplished for Hawaii County?
You know, I think there's a lot of people that are really kind of confused. And I think the way the law is written and the way it was written, I think we could have done a lot better. We could have got a lot better buy-in. And I don't know if that's so much the mayor's fault or the council, but I know that dealing with like the planning department, they didn't have a lot of time to give input, is what I understand from some people over there. I know the people that do the short-term rentals and the realtors, they felt that they didn't have a lot of time to give input into that. As far as short-term vacation rentals, I think we need to go back, we need to make some changes, but more than that, we need to make sure that when we're interpreting our rules, whether it be short-term vacation rentals or building or planning codes, that we're consistent, so we're not giving different interpretations. I know that Mikey just gave a statement about wearing different hats. When I look at the law, that's not what the law says. So,
Thank you. Okay, Ikaika, Marzo, you have another question. Is it going to be a softball question?
Nah, fastball.
Okay,
fastball.
great.
No, so my question is for my Hanai uncle, which I just met today, Uncle Bob. I've been in Kona, campaigning. We've been in Kona heavy, 3 days out of the week, and a lot of people there have been, their concerns were about facilities for our keiki. You know, what kind of facilities do we have in Kona, and what you see in our future for our keiki in Kona?
Well, thank you for that question. You know, I'm disgusted where the county has been for our keiki. Our old airport, one of my main Maka'eo, I mean, it's disgusting. We have porta potties. They say they're going to tear down a building. They didn't. One of the reasons I'm here is because I thought when I left in 2014, all this stuff was going to happen. It just fell down by the wayside. I'm ashamed of myself for 30 years being there, or 40-something living there, but 30 years active trying to get something done in Kona and not having it happen. You know, from children's playgrounds to Maka'eo to the homeless issue. And we just never really put enough effort into it, and that's my biggest peeve of anything else. Yesterday we were at a meeting, and it was a lot of safety issues about our kids and realistic things, and police and some public defender that was running was there, but police wasn't there. And we just need better communication, on, especially over that side. Remember, they spend a lot of the tax dollar, they want to see something.
All right, thank you. Now, Uncle Bob, you get a chance to ask a question.
I'll go to Tante. Tante, why don't you reinforce what you see for the Kona area?
What's that?
What do you see as far as what's the priorities for the west side of the island?
Oh, yeah. You know, actually, I was going to ask you the same question.
You can. You can.
Yeah. Well, we bought from Kona, so I believe that our number one, the best problem there is the Kokini Highway. The traffic there is really bad. We need to find solution on that one. Number two is our infrastructure, or the wastewater treatment plant. That's number two. Those are the two big projects that we'll be working on. And as I said, I was going to ask you the same question. Thank you for that.
Well, Mr. Urban, you have that opportunity. It's your chance to ask a question if you'd like to.
Okay, the same question.
Give me my minute, I give a minute 20. Oh, it's only 30 seconds.
Let's reset that. I think it's actually a minute for the responses.
Okay, yeah. That's huge. I mean, the golf, a little not quite on the information there, but basically the way, I was the one that went to the state to get the golf course moved to a regional park because of the demand of a charrette that we had, that there wasn't enough room at Maka'eo. But the plan there was, let's make out Maka'eo our old Ala Moana Beach Park. Let's green it up. Thought we were close, didn't get done. Everything is the key. It's been 22 years of sewer water going into a pipe. 22 years. That is a priority for whoever gets this job to bring that water in. And that's why the water now is for the park, a couple other projects. That is huge for Kona. And traffic, I think real quick and easy, counterflow lanes. I think that's all. And it's an easy fix. There's some easy things to work with the state and counterflow lanes to get the people moving. And traffic, it says East Hawaii traffic, West Hawaii. Why isn't somebody looking at the traffic lights, monitoring that at 8 o'clock on Sunday morning is not the same as 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock in our peak hours? We need to monitor our traffic in Kona.
Thank you very much. All right, Mr. Roth, question?
So the root to most of our crime problems, our homeless problems, our drug problems, our mental health problems is domestic violence. Kids come from homes with domestic violence are more likely to commit suicide. We're more likely to have people entering to homelessness. All these things. We have all guys here. Domestic violence is generally seen as a woman's issue. I'm going to ask any of you, what are you willing to do to move the issue of domestic violence forward, prevention of domestic violence forward, so we don't continue to keep on having these problems?
Well, many of the men in the room would probably want to jump at that question. I'm going to ask you to choose somebody.
Ikaika.
Should I ask me the question again?
So what would you do to work on preventing domestic violence?
We got to look at the households. We got to look at our homes and our families within our community. Domestic violence starts at home, starts at our upbringing as people. It starts with abuse, family household abuse from at a young age, and that mentality brings it back up to par now. So the first thing that we want to do is get involved with our keiki. Getting involved with our keiki now, in the future, they could be successful and not go into the domestic. We got to break the cycle now. That's the problem. So the cycle is it's circulating. So we got to find a way to break that circle now. Model.
Thank you. Mr. Higa, you get an opportunity to ask a question. Please choose somebody.
I will. Thank you. I'm going to ask Neil the same question that I asked Ikaika, because Neil, same thing. I know at the last forum it was a very emotional question for you, and I know you said it was a state issue. But again, because we were born and raised here, I want to understand where you're coming from as a resident. And again, yes or no answer, where you stand on TMT, support or non-support, and then why.
If you like the mayor, my main concern on that Mauna is the people, all people, safety. Why? Because we care about people. I personally, on the TMT can be built anywhere else, not on the Mauna. But I care. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen. My main concern as mayor is the people's safety, making sure they're safe. That's my main concern. Why? I care about everybody. I care about people. I'm passionate for people. I go out of my way to serve. We public servants, we serve. Day in, day out. I love people. That's me. Thank you.
So it's a no.
Yes, I'm against it. Thank you.
Thank you. And you have an opportunity to ask a question.
Okay. Coach Bob. In Kona, are you going to coach football again?
I tell you what, a dream job would be coaching Kalakaua High School, much as I still bleed green. But Kalakaua has had so much talent over the years, they do have the potential to compete with the St. Louis and Kahukus if you had the right system in. And thank you for that answer, because that's about what this job's all about, putting in a system. As I said, we've been defensive here. It's about putting in some offense, some special teams. and moving forward. And that's the key. I mean, you heard me talk about dynasties. You look at New England, and yet teams have gone on. It's about putting a system in that you keep going over and over and you build on. And that's going to be my strength if I'm there. I mean, it's like we're going to keep a system in that's going to get things done. And, if it required coaching high school football again, I actually tried to get a mainland sponsor so I could go back and coach. But anyway, so would never say never if I'm running for mayor at my age. So thank you for that question.
Thank you. And panelists, you now have the opportunity to ask a redirect question. Any of you have a question to redirect?
I have one. It came up in a earlier conversation. This question is for Ikaika. There's been a lot of discussion, talk story about remaking our tourist industry. What are your thoughts on how you'd like to see the future of tourism relating to Hawaiian culture and environment?
So, tourism went out of control. And the good thing about this COVID-19, it's time for us to reset tourism. I've been in the tourism industry, I've seen the impacts. And the impacts was just money. And we need to instill culture and environmental impacts, green tourism. So basically, we got to revamp the whole tourism industry and work with the tourism bureau and see how we can come with the best plan for our people here on Hawaii Island.
Thank you. And now we have another question from the panelists.
This question is for Mr. Higa. So we've talked about a lot of playing and sports and teams tonight. Right out of the gate, if you are elected mayor, what top team players are you going to bring to the table? What's that first thing that you want to accomplish?
Clarification before my time starts.
Yes.
You're asking about administration?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hey, the best and the brightest. We all know best and the brightest are sitting around this panel tonight. It's about attracting good quality people who understand what's going to be needed in their communities. I made the commitment, I already put it out there, that half my cabinet will be in West Hawaii. And that half of that cabinet will have operational autonomy and authority to actually act on behalf of the people on that side. I'm going to do something that no other mayor has ever done. I am going to work with two separate cabinets, sub-cabinets. Never been done before.
Thank you.
Next question, Ilihia.
This is a question for Mayor Kim, and it is not related to coaching at all.
Thank you. I'm not a good coach.
No, this is your 12th year as mayor that we're in right now, and you've governed through a variety of different situations. Certainly, this pandemic is unprecedented, but in your first 8 years as mayor, your operating budget grew from $175 million to $403 million. In the last 4 years, when you were mayor again, your operating budget grew from $462 million to $586 million. And so, if you could please explain a little bit about your budgeting process, and in the potential tough times ahead, what's on the table?
One of the greatest misunderstood things is the budget. Everyone hears about the balanced budget. The budget is a very simple thing by law, and not by me or any other mayor. I can change that law. It says that you will submit a budget to the county council for approval by X date, and public opportunities for input. The second part is you will stick to the amount of money that you are given. That is your responsibility. So the budget amount shrinks, you shrink. It grows, you grow.
Thank you very much, Mayor Kim. And now we've reached that opportunity where each candidate will give their closing statement. Each one has 2 minutes, and we're going to begin with Ikaika Marzo.
I'd like to mahalo Kristen for inviting us, Naleo to providing this for us. I want to just sitting here amongst you guys. It's humbling, and I want to thank you guys to be a part of this. Again, mahalo everyone. My name is Ikaika Marzo. Again, running for mayor. My heart and my soul and my spirit will be for the people of Hawaii as much as possible. But basically, at the end of the day, I just want to mahalo everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
No.
And now, Mr. Fitzgerald.
Anyway, again, a big mahalo to everybody here. We wouldn't be here if we didn't have passion, if we didn't care. I mean, my motto is first, go up there, you know, and then the second thing is when you look in a mirror, make sure you believe in that guy. And any of whoever's get this job is that you got to believe in that person you see in the mirror. And the third thing is when you go out today, and I've always lived by this thing, whatever I do today, I'm going to make a better tomorrow. And that's why I'm here. I'm here to try to get whatever we can and the passion I have from this island and going to communities and bridging them together. That's going to be my strength, is going to every community, listening, have an A team, get things done in 2 days to 6 months, a B team that will get it done and I can promise do it in that administration, and a C team that will leave it better for the next mayor, the next generation that is coming. You know, I have a beautiful Hawaiian wife, a Hawaiian practitioner. When you talk about Mauna Kea, I have grandkids that are half Hawaiian. You know, they all speak Hawaiian. They go to immersion school. That's who protested up Mauna Kea, is these kids allow beautiful aunties and uncles. And it's about unifying the island. My motto is one island, one heart, and I care about this place and I always thank his brother-in-law, Jim Berry, for giving me the opportunity to be a leader in our community. And I always thank West Hawaii Council for letting me be present and get a lot of things done. And that's what I want to see done across the island. And I know my leadership, you know, I know I have the skills. I've worked with big guys. I know I'm a good candidate for the mayor. Otherwise, I wouldn't be sitting here, and I don't have the passion for it. As my dad said way early in life, he said, Dad, he told me, son, make sure you can relate to people from 3 to 93. Well, I've been a small business with big business, state of Hawaii employee and a county employee. I'm in for that challenge, floating from 3 to 93 to relate to this whole island. So mahalo for the opportunity.
Mahalo. And Tante Urban, you now have 2 minutes for your closing remarks.
Thank you. At this stage of my life, my calling is about community service. I know how to run a business from bottoms up and make it successful. If I become a mayor, I plan to donate my salary to nonprofit organizations. I will find a presidents within the 9 districts of this island, and they will decide who to donate my salary to. I want to emphasize the fact that I'm not a politician, and I'm not going to promise you the world. But if you vote for me, I promise to work hard for you. I know we can work together to improve our island. We can make a big difference. It is time for a change. It is time for new leadership. I humbly ask for your vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Roth. Mitch Roth.
Thank you. First of all, I want to thank all of the viewing audience, Big Island Pulse, Naleo TV, and not just this pot of candidates, but the other pot of candidates for participating and running for mayor, because I think this helps get better ideas out there. You know, in this debate, we've heard a lot of different ideas and a lot of things, but a lot of the questions dealt with issues that were state or federal or county. And I think going forward, we need to know, as a mayor, where to find things. You know, my experience as a prosecutor, as an attorney, I know where to find the county code, where to find things in the county charter, what the mayor is supposed to do. As someone who is leader in government, I know how government works. I know some of the pitfalls that you can get into. I know things that could end up getting the county sued if you implement wrong kinds of laws. As an attorney, I know how to interpret the law, and I think one of the big problems that we're having right now is the way the county is interpreting some of our laws, which is preventing our citizenry and our businesses from thriving. Most importantly, you need an innovative leader, and I am that innovative leader that has actually brought real-world change to county government. You do that by sitting down with people, meeting them where they are, talking to them. Bringing people together to solve unsolvable problems is what I've done for my entire career. And, you know, Stacy asked the question about treating people with dignity and respect. I really believe We need to change the philosophy of government on, how we treat people out there as customers, not just permitting people. We need to change that philosophy to make people succeed, to make businesses succeed, so we can move forward in our future. Thank you very much, and I would appreciate your vote.
Thank you. Mr. Higa.
Thank you. Again, I want to thank each and everybody on this panel, all the candidates running for mayor. Much mahalo for you stepping up and offering your services to become the next mayor. Born and raised on this island, product of the Kamehameha schools. I always tell people that, Bernice Pauahi Bishop gave me the most tremendous gift of my life, an education which I know in her mind and heart was going to be the way for us Hawaiians to be able to compete in the world. So I'm using that education today to basically interview for this job. People always ask me, who in their right mind would want to become mayor of Hawaii County after COVID-19 has devastated our communities? Because we all know normalcy is no longer there. That's what concerns me. That's why I'm passionate about offering myself as a choice. It's just one of 15 choices. And I hope when you look at us and decide who to choose as your next chief executive of a company that really is, and I say it's a company, it's almost like a Fortune 500 business, 2,000 plus employees, almost a $600 million budget. I have the passion, I have the experience, but more importantly, I know I have leadership qualities to be able to bring people together. As Ikaika and Neil, they're all super hard workers. That is something that you guys, tremendous. This is not to me about a popularity contest. It's about who can do the job. Because I tell you, people are going to be hurting on our islands, and I am clearly worried about that. I'm lucky, I'm fortunate. I was able to put Naleo in such a good place that none of my employees were at risk. We're in such a great place that Naleo will continue no matter what. I want to be able to do the Naleo miracle and bring that to Hawaii County government. You need a business person, someone who has the experience, who can make things happen. I will get things done. Thank you.
Thank you. Neil Azevedo, your closing remarks.
This mahalo to everybody. Really appreciate this opportunity you guys giving us, giving me, here. Running for mayor, sitting here before you today was never something I thought I would ever do. But the last 5 years working in the county of Hawaii made me realize how much more we can do for the people of Hawaii. I see so much more for Hawaii Island. Yes, we're in this COVID-19, these challenges, but we can get over it by believing in each other, trusting each other. I'm just simple. I'm a man with a big heart, just likes to work hard and serve all our community, serve the community. We need things to get right for our keikis. We need to build tomorrow, get it ready for them. I'm not a politician. I'm not no public speaker, but I'm just a doer. I just love work. I love working for people, and I love serving the public. That's what I love best. And I'm confident enough I'll be the change for Hawaii Island. What people need. Please, allow me the chance just to take everyone, believe in every community, trust in everyone. That's what we're here for. We are all good guys here, all wonderful people. County government, good. Remember, people first, small businesses two, and third is government. That's why people are number one. Why? We care about people. We trust people. We believe in people. That's what I'm about. Remember, Azevedo for the people. Why? Because we care. We got heart. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Kim, you're the last to provide your closing remarks.
First of all, thank you to everybody, but I think we feel people's emotions tonight of what they're saying. I'll repeat what I've said many, many years ago when I was first asked to take over civil defense because of certain problems that occurred. I pledged then, and I continue that pledge every time I ran. I pledged to work every single day to gain your trust. I pledged that once I gain your trust, I'll work every day to keep your trust. I pledge you a commitment of everything I've got to do the job. I ask all the viewers in this room and throughout the island to judge me by my work. That's all I ask. Judge me by my work. From the very beginning, I had a total confidence of the work I would do for the people of Hawaii, of total commitment with all the passion I have. I listed some things down, and I really want you to, before you make up your mind of me or anybody else, I'm proud of the homeless program that was done for Kona and Hilo. I'm proud of the housing projects. I'm proud of the short-term rental problems that we addressed. I'm proud of all the emergencies that was handled and how it was handled. I'm proud of the change in the tax base, so not rely only on property tax. I'm totally proud of the transit system that you will be proud of. I'm proud of the employment practices and policies we made that never of any position to let policies of politics determine who gets hired, and we changed the whole system. I ask all of you to take the time before you make your mind up to review those things that I just mentioned and see what has been done for this island. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And we want to thank all the candidates for your time. You know, this was a lot of time that you gave for, you know, you're not on the campaign trail, but you're doing something really important. That's informing the viewers, our voters, to make a decision. I hope that tonight's, not just this panel, but the previous panel, and again, panelists, thank you so much. Kristen, I want to ask you a question. Big Island Pulse put this on. Where can they find more information? Is this going to be replayed if they want to listen to someone's answers again?
Yes. So tomorrow it will be replayed on Na'aleo. So the previous pod that went at 2 p.m. today will air at 6 p.m. and this pod will air at 2 p.m. But this debate, both pods, both sessions, will be available constantly online at bigislandpulse.com as well as on Na'aleo TV on their website, Facebook and Instagram for Big Island Pulse. And you can always reach out to us at aloha@bigislandpulse.com if you have any questions.
All right, wonderful. You heard it here, and now you have an opportunity to make a very critical decision for the future of Hawaii Island. I'm Donalyn Dela Cruz. It's been my honor to be here today. Thank you, gentlemen. Aloha.
The preceding program was a production of Naleo TV.
Hi, I'm Brad Clark from the League of Women Voters of Hawaii County. And yes, there are men in the League of Women Voters and have been since 1971. Starting this year, all of Hawaii will vote by mail. There will be no regular polling places on Election Day. Make sure that you're registered to vote. You can register to vote or check your registration status online at www.elections.hawaii.gov. You must be registered to vote by July 9th in order to receive your ballot by mail. Make sure that you sign your return envelope before returning your ballot. Ballots cannot be counted without a voter's signature. Ballots can be mailed back or delivered in person to a voter service center or place of deposit. For the location and hours of the voter service centers or places of deposit nearest you, go to www.elections.hawaii.gov. Voters who miss the registration deadline may go in person to a voter service center and register and vote. Voted ballots must be received by the clerk by 7 p.m. on Election Day. If you mail your ballot, make sure that you return your ballot early enough so that the clerk receives it by Election Day. Remember, Hawaii now votes by mail, so register to vote, receive your ballot by mail, and vote.